Welcome to Women of Resistance. On this edition of the program, we will be shining a spotlight on a woman who loved life in Gaza, a successful pharmacist who enjoyed boxing in her spare time. Haya Taha was always happy and positive until the 7th of October when her life was turned upside down. Here is her story.
For those on the outside looking in, it can feel like we know how women lived in Gaza before the Israeli genocide. But our next guest paints a different picture.
Good evening, class.
Good evening, teacher.
My name is Haya Taha. I'm 27 years old, pharmacist. I graduated 3 years ago, and I started a family business with my sister. It's a pharmacy. My sister and I used to have 2 chefs there. I have 2 sisters. The eldest one is a pharmacist and the second one is an accountant. My father is a legal advisor and my mom is a social studies teacher. I was born in Libya. I was raised there for a while too. But when Abu Ammar Yasser Arafat came back to Palestine, we came back with him. I had a very nice childhood, I guess. My parents used to do everything they can to provide us with everything we want. I was raised in a very beautiful family and it was very caring. I'm the youngest, so I used to have everything I want.
For Hayam and millions of other families living under the yoke of Israeli oppression, every day was a grinding reminder that this was their reality.
I would say since I was born, I knew that occupation exists because my mom, because she was raised and born in Libya. So she didn't have the ID card that would bring her home. Since I was born, I knew like I'm not in my country. I'm outside my country. Libya is not my country, Palestine is. And I couldn't go back to Palestine because we don't have an ID card. My family doesn't have ID card. So we can't go back. I can't see my grandmother because like she is in Palestine and I'm in Libya and my mom doesn't have the documentation that would let her enter Palestine. When I came to Palestine, and I would say like if you can hear the airplanes, the sound of the zzz, that pretty much was the reason why I knew occupation exists. Like occupation wouldn't give you the privilege to know yourself that there is an occupation in Gaza, or it wouldn't give you the chance to let anyone tell you or someone tell you that Israel exists. No, they just remind you every single day in every horrible way that they exist.
The day-to-day injustices and humiliations of that occupation are stark.
You are in a very small cage. You don't have your full freedom. You don't have the right of talking, of speaking. You don't have the right of moving. You don't have like the small rights that people outside Gaza would consider like a normal life or a small right. It wasn't there for me. So growing up, I knew the occupation existed and I knew the effect of occupation on me.
Like the majority of Gaza's women, before the genocide, Hayam was a highly educated professional whose love for her small enclave saw her surrender to its magical pull after experiencing other opportunities abroad.
I love my job. I guess I love my job. I didn't have the passion for pharmacy at first. I wanted to study something related to international law, but it was like an irony for me. Why would I study international law when we don't have even a country? So I decided to enter anything in the medical field to satisfy my mom, I guess. My mom wanted me to study pharmacy. I graduated and then I traveled to Turkey to settle there because I felt like my country is not giving me the right opportunity. After I traveled, I didn't have a good chance in the country. I didn't have a good chance in Gaza. So I traveled and then I got homesick. I came back. That's the curse that Gaza has on us. I had everything I want in Turkey, but I wasn't happy. I got back to Gaza, the small cage they made for us, and I was the happiest person alive. I was so happy. I was satisfied. I was like, I'm fine. I want to live here. No matter how big the world is, no matter how everything you want in your life you can be provided outside, but no, I want my small city. I want my people. So I came back and I started a family business with my sister.
Hayam's passion showcases the multifaceted nature of Gazans, with the women leading the charge.
I am a boxer. I play boxing. We made that small women boxing in Gaza community where women can actually play boxing. I take Turkish. I try to improve myself in English more. Whenever I feel like I want something to learn, I do it. That's it. I said. Also, yes, I started my forensic toxicology master's degree online because I was supposed to travel, but also that happened. I worked also as a clinical pharmacist for a while in a Shifa hospital.
The realities of life pre and post October the 7th still have not completely sunk in.
The 7th of October, I am in a denial situation where I just say what? I've been saying what since the 7th of October. Because like, imagine everything in your life is very stable and everything in control. I'm in control of my wheel, of my life's wheel. I'm in control. Everything is fine. But then like, they took everything away from you. And you're just standing there with your bare hands.
Like the majority of Palestinians in Gaza, Hayam has known the searing pain of loss, a loss that has sometimes rendered her numb.
7th of October happened, and a week from 7th of October, I would say like that was the crucial, most hideous moment of my life because one of my best friends got murdered and he died on the 11th of October. His name is Khalid. I don't know if you know him, Khalid Jadallah. Yes, Khalid and I were very close, and I entered that phase where I just rejected everything around me when I knew about his death. And after that, the loss wheel started. I've lost my pharmacy. It was leveled to the ground, completely destroyed. My heart was there. Like I left my heart in my pharmacy and I couldn't see a dust on the shelves. I loved it. Everyone loved it. It was a place for my friends as well. Like a place where my friends come and just enjoy having a cup of coffee with me and talking to customers and talking to me. I will do another pharmacy and I will make another business. But we're not going to bring anyone back to life. So I guess after losing Khalid, I didn't feel any loss after that. I've lost my home and I felt numb. Like, that's fine. I've lost the pharmacy and I felt numb because those things, those tricks and those troubles, I can turn it back, but I'm not going to bring Khalid back. I've lost friends. I've lost some family members. One of my cousins also was dead. I've lost Gaza, and I love Gaza. No matter how harsh it was on us, the young people, the youth, I loved it. It has a very special place in my heart. So losing Gaza and losing Khalid, I guess like after that I felt I don't want to do anything anymore. I just want to sit there and just wait for my day to come. I want to die. Like I just want to die in peace, the same way Khalid did.
One of the time bombs facing Gazans who've lived through the genocide is the psychological scars that would remain for years, if not generations. Hayam has her own healing to do, but has found a selfless way to help her journey in coping with that trauma.
People would come and ask me about a certain medication, and I would refuse to look at it, because every time I look at any medication, I would remember everything happened with me. And I said before, I've never been traumatized before in my childhood, but like so much drama and so much trauma for a person like me happened all together in a 1 year. I just want to sit here and just wait until the day they throw a rocket at us and just die. So I've reached that point where I didn't want to live anymore. But then I felt like my family needs me and some people around me needs me. So I decided to get up again. It was hard at first, but like a baby steps. It was like starting all over from the zero, as if I wasn't 27 years old, as if I was just born. So I took baby steps and I decided to help others as much as I can. I'm still helping others right now.
Now, to discuss Hayam's story, I am joined in the studio today by Bushra Shaikh, a social and political analyst. Welcome, Bushra.
Thank you so much, Sakina, for having me.
Thank you. As you watch that video and the story of Hayam, your initial thoughts?
I mean, I'd be doing Hayam and the women of Palestine a disservice if I was to even attempt to understand what they're going through. It's truly just heartbreaking, isn't it? When we watch these young women going through this oppression, this type of aggression, and having to work out whether they even have a future. I mean, it's very, very, very hard to even contemplate that.
Do you think that sometimes when we talk about these women in Palestine, we watch the footages and we have these images of, women walking through, looking dirty, looking tired. Do we imagine that they are women like us? Hayam sounds very much like me and you. She has her ambitions, well-educated women. Do you think subconsciously maybe we don't understand that these women are very much like us?
Oh, absolutely. I think there are numbers and numbers of people, out there that are just so disconnected from the real world for other people. There is this kind of dystopian element about Palestine. It's like we're not connecting with them. One thing that I know is that we can't truly understand the oppression that a woman suffers unless we put ourselves in those people's position. And this disconnection really, really does concern me, because it's almost like we're watching a movie. Yeah. But this is real life for these women.
I mean, I think I'm really moved, when she talks about, for example, her pharmacy. She says, I couldn't see a dust on the shelves. And, we literally have been watching buildings coming down, yeah, like in Lebanon, in Palestine. And it's like as if you're watching a video game. But these are lives of people. These are the way, the attachment she talks to her pharmacy. Do you think that people really get this?
There is definitely large numbers of waves of women that do understand this, because we're directly connecting ourselves to this. I think it's important for people to understand that you've really got to imagine putting yourself in their situation. We live quite privileged, entitled lives. And until we don't absorb really what we're seeing here and teaching other people that this is real, how would you feel if at any moment your entire lives could be destroyed? Like, really try to put yourself into that position.
Why then, if that is the case, Bushra, that the world has allowed this to happen? Why have we allowed women like Hayam to lose so much?
Partly it's because there is an element where has humanity gone? What we've done is we're grouping people up together. Some people are more important than others. Some human lives are important than others. That's not true. We all share the same blood. We share humanity, and that's what seems to have been lost, not only with people themselves, but politically. This is a divide that's being created, and what happens? Regular people like Hayam, women, young girls like Hayam, suffer the consequences of war.
We have a lot of talks here in the West about feminism. Whenever there's an issue of any Western woman, people are very vocal. about speaking about women's rights. There's news going on at the moment about the words used, to address certain age group of women. Where are all these feminists when we watch stories like these of these women? Her pain, when she's speaking, you can see it in her eyes, in her voice. Where are the feminists?
This is a question, Sakina, I ask all the time. Western feminism has double standards. We've got to understand the optics here. We have dehumanized collectively a group of people in Palestine, including women, because when we look at the West, they think that Muslim women or women in the Middle East somehow are oppressed women, that they can't make choices for themselves. These are women out there that are being educated, that know what they want out of life, but for some reason, if their skin color is different, if they don't live in these Western institutions, it means that they don't know what's good for them. And I 100% know this standard that we have, that we treat women differently, is actually quite sickening.
And this also exists here. It's not just limited to the Middle East. Is it true, is it fair to say that any woman who is not looking, white or blue-eyed, is always considered to be not on par with, the top women up there who have all the rights and who are, emancipated, who have the watching, Hayam, this is highly educated woman who talks about how she was in control of her life. But we refuse to give her that recognition, don't we?
Completely. There is still a perspective out there where women of colour, women that are not from the West, somehow are sort of more stupid. And I'm sorry to say it like that, but this perspective does exist out there. We had people like Hillary Clinton speak about women's rights, but she hasn't once spoken about the rights of Palestinian women. We've had people like Malala Yousafzai that supports the movement for women in Afghanistan. What about the rights of women in Palestine? For some reason, we're associating Palestinian women with being less than.
And of course, this whole concept of people who are, creating the genocide, who are treating women like Hayam, they believe that they are superior because, God has chosen them.
Yeah.
The concept of God here, there are a lot of women who watch movies like this or stories like this and say, where is God in all this? What would you say?
I would say in the world, people that believe in God, our challenges look very, very different. We have to accept those challenges and figure out what is the solution to those. This issue isn't about God. These choices are being made by human beings. This isn't God making the choice. We have individuals that are subjugating, that are oppressing, that are occupying human beings. This is about humanity. This isn't about God. God has given us the brain to make the decisions for ourselves, and right now we're not making the right ones.
Absolutely, couldn't agree with you more there, Bushra. Now, just to remind our viewers, we are discussing the story of Haya Taha from Gaza on this episode of Women of Resistance. Coming back to you, Bushra, I'm worried about the trauma that, these women are facing. I mean, at the moment, of course, the genocide is not over. We don't know how long this will go on. But even if they were to survive this, will they ever be able to live normal lives again?
There is going to be a semblance of normality. Of course, when you have psychological trauma, physical trauma, these things stick with us for a very, very long time. Again, I can't imagine what it's like to live in a war zone, to go through losing friends and family, like Hayam, her best friend, Khalid. These are things that we have to say to ourselves. Traumatic experiences stay forever with people. And for these women, they are going to have to learn how to live around that grief. This isn't grief that's ever going to away. And the psychological impact is going to be vast. The fact that she even spoke about ending her life, we really need to be speaking about this more. These are young women, young people that are thinking, is it worthwhile to live anymore?
So on one hand, we see that they're being bombarded, life being taken. They are being starved now, and now the trauma, the emotional trauma, where they are themselves wanting to end their lives. I mean, what can be worse? What kind of a world are we living in, Bushra? How can we really go to bed? And, in the beginning of the genocide, we were not able to sleep. A lot of us could not eat watching what we were, but we've gotten used to it. We go ahead and, we live our lives as normal.
Yeah.
Why? How do we as human beings are able to do that?
Because in a way we've kind of desensitized ourselves to it. What we're watching is through screens. You know, we're not directly there in contact. I mean, look, one thing I will say is just watching this onslaught happen, carried out day to day, has had a psychological effect on people far away, like myself. Every day trying to live what these Palestinians are going through, what these women, you know, young babies, some of the horrific scenes that I've seen out there. For some reason, we are disconnected, and we're disconnected from it because we have an entitlement issue. We're so far removed because we have luxuries in life that we take for granted. You know, we have to have this inwardly self-reflection to say, actually, these are blessings that I have. Everything else, and in order for me to make myself and understand the plight of other people, I really have to sit down and think about myself. This is a reflection on society more than it is on anything else.
Like I always say, you know, that these women in another way, you know, they are chosen by God. They are chosen not that they're superior, but that they have been chosen for a sacrifice so that the world is awakened. People like us, you know, I don't know where we were a year ago, but it has shaken us to the core to question what you're saying about, you know, introspect, think about who you are, what is your goal in life. But these women are actually fighting, they are resisting. Now, of course, resistance has ended up being not a very good word. It's got connotations.
Yeah.
But these women are resisting, aren't they?
Of course they are. This is their human right to resist. Anyone that's been subjugated to oppression, to violence, to aggression, where their lives are in danger, we have a human right to do that. And this is what these women are doing. I mean, I find them courageous. The bravery of these women on the front line, this idea that Middle Eastern women or Muslim women, you know, that don't have the strength. These are powerful women that are, and you know what? They're not frightened to die because they're saying, I'm standing up for a cause. In fact, women in the West need to learn from that.
Absolutely.
You know, when I look at these women, I'm like, oh my God, like the bravery that they have, how do I encompass that?
Totally. And apart from bravery, I see, Bushra, that the connection they have to their land is something maybe most of us don't really get it. She talks about how I love Gaza, how I have lost Gaza. You know, as long as these people have that connection to their land, they're never going to go away from there, will they?
No, I mean, if we really think about it, where we live becomes our home. Why should anybody be prized out of the land that they live in, that they were raised in, born in, where all of their ancestors were? We have a deep-rooted connection to the land that we live on, that even the air that we breathe there. There is a connectivity, a deep-rooted connectivity with Palestine and Palestinians. And it's the same thing that we may have with, like, Britain. I mean, if someone was to force me out of my house tomorrow, I'm sure I wouldn't be happy about it. I would want to go back home. We yearn to go back home.
Absolutely. And finally, if Hayam was listening to you, Bushra, what would you want to say to her?
If Hayam was listening to me, I would say to her that I absolutely admire her, you know, and I would send all my prayers and my love to her. And what she's doing is a fight not just for herself, but a fight for humanity. And for some reason, our society has lost that. And to see someone like Hayam standing up for not only women, but, you know, your freedom is really, really something that we have to admire and look up to.
Absolutely. And finally, Bushra, what is our role now? You know, what can we do to assist women like that? Really, what should we be doing?
Well, we need to be using all of our platforms and our tools and our resources to speak up in defense of these women. Anything that we can do to help support what they are trying to say and do, we have to stand up for it. Right now, for me, I really get sad to see that people are not using this platform. We have to do everything that we can to stop this oppression. This occupation has been going on for too long, and these people deserve to have a future.
Couldn't agree more with you. Thank you so much, Bushra, for joining me today. And thank you for watching. Until next time, we leave you with the sounds of Palestine from the artist Saif Amir. Goodbye.